Okay guys, in the course of this particular video, we're going to be discussing a particular conic section which is known as circle. We have other conic sections which include ellipse, parabola, and hyperbola respectively. But in our subsequent videos, we're going to be discussing these ones. But then let's focus on circle, which is the bone of contention. So in this case, we have a circle to be a shape with round side. At the same time, you can also say that a circle is a particular conic section that is gotten as a result of the cutting plane being perpendicular to the cone's axis. Okay, I'm not going to be talking much on that. Now, here is the general equation of a circle. So, this is the general equation of a circle. Okay, so and the general equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus 2hx plus 2ky plus c equals to 0. Now, for you to be able to obtain the radius with respect to the general equation of this circle, sometimes you may be given the general equation of the circle and then you'll be asked to find the radius. Okay, it's very easy. Just for you to, first of all, you have to find the center. Remember, this is the center of the circle. So this is the center. So from the general equation of the circle, we have to find the center. Afterwards, you can now find the radius. But let me explain the general equation of a circle. Now, the x squared and the y squared here denote the curveness of the circle. Denote the curveness, okay, of the circle. Let me write it well. Denote the curveness of the circle. Then you can actually get the center of the circle from here. Okay, you can get the center of the circle from here. So this denotes the center of the circle, and then this is the constant. Okay, so this is the constant value. Okay, now the next thing is, what about this particular formula? This formula would help you to determine the radius. After you might have found the center of the circle, then you take the square root of the squares of the center of the circle, okay, and then minus the constant that you have here, then you get your radius. But there are other distances which you can find using the normal distance formula, okay. So, and sometimes you may be asked to compare between the distance of a particular point from the circle. We're going to be looking at some questions as we proceed. So, to understand this particular concept the more, let us solve some questions. But as we solve those questions, we have to be making references to all of these formulas that I've written here. Now, let's move on. So, in our subsequent video, we're going to be discussing ellipse, parabola, and hyperbola, and other characteristics. Okay, before I proceed further, let's talk about the characteristics of a circle, maybe a few of them that are very important. There's something called eccentricity. Let me write it here. Eccentricity, denoted E. For a circle, the eccentricity is 0. A circle has no eccentricity. Okay, I will explain eccentricity in our subsequent video. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do well to subscribe to this channel as you watch other subsequent videos to understand this concept the more. Then eccentricity is 0. What else? We have something that is called then this is the general equation. I've just said something about the general equation. I'm talking about the characteristics. So the general equation is this: all the conic section has their own equation. All the conic section have their own respective equation. Okay, let's move to calculations. Okay, or let's look at questions. So question number 1. Okay, question number 1 read: find the center and the radius of the circle 4x squared plus 4y squared minus 3x minus 8y minus 1 equals to 0. And here are the options that were given. So how are we supposed to do this? Solution. So I'm going to be writing that same equation: 4x squared plus 4y squared minus 3x minus 8y minus 1 equals to 0. Now, I'm going to be teaching you how to do this thing with within few seconds, so that when you see this kind of question in your exam, you're going to be writing CBT, computer based test or examination, so that you can be able to navigate your answer straight up. So how do we find the center as well as the radius? Okay, so first of all, you have to find the center, because without the center you won't be able to apply this formula. I just made mention of this particular formula with respect to the center. So let's find the center first. So how do we find the center? Remember that the general equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared minus 3x minus, oh sorry, minus plus 2kx rather, plus 2, let me write it, sorry about that please. So x squared plus y squared plus 2hx plus 2ky plus c equals to 0. This is the general equation, right? So in this case, you are going to make this equation to look like the general equation, thereby dividing all through by 4. So if we divide all through by 4, okay, the reason I'm dividing all through by 4 is because I want it to I want it to look like this, exactly like this. So if you divide all through by 4, 4 we cancel 4, 4 we cancel 4, so we can now have x squared plus y squared minus 3 over 4x minus 8 divided by 4 is 2, 2y minus 1 over 4 equals to 0, right? Okay, now if that's the case, let's move on. So we've been able to divide all through by 4. So I've just divided all through by 4. Now there's one other characteristic that I forgot to mention, and the characteristic is that the general equation of the circle, the coefficient of x squared and y squared must always be the same. The coefficient of x squared and y squared must always be the same. Why? Because a circle has a regular shape, okay? All the shape is the shape is regular, unlike an ellipse and the other conic section. So that is it. So regular shape, okay? I mean, all like the side is regular, one side is not bigger than the other. And speaking about the focus, we don't need to look for focus when it comes to this, okay? So the focus is still what? The center when it comes to a circle. Okay, moving on. So back to our question. So I've divided all through by 4, right? So we can actually find the center from here. We can find the center. Remember I told you that from this place at the center, but it's not just like that. You have to do something to it. So to get the center, remember we have uh h and k to be our center, right? Or minus h and minus k to be our center. So in this case, what are we supposed to do now? We are going to, remember it's minus, so we are going to, okay, to find for minus h, okay, to look for minus h, remember from here we have 2, so we are going to put 2 here. Minus 2h is equals to, take this coefficient, minus 3 over 4, and then minus 2k is equals to, take this coefficient, minus 2. You see what I'm doing? So from here I can get my k by dividing both sides by minus 2, okay, thereby multiplying this side by minus 1 over 2. If I divide both sides by minus 2, it's the same thing as multiplying here by minus 1 over 2. Same thing for, sorry, this is h. Then for k, I'll do likewise. Minus 2, multiply it by minus 1 over 2. So if you multiply here by minus 1 over 2, we have plus 3 over 8, right? Now if you do likewise here, you have plus 1. So in this case, we have gotten our center. So I've gotten our center, okay? Our center is now going to be 3 over 8 and 1. So we've just gotten our center. Okay, so with that being said, let's move to the radius. So how do we find our radius? Radius is equals to the square root of, remember what I told you, h squared plus k squared, then minus c, right? So that is it. So let's do that. So in that case, our radius is going to be the square root of, remember I found our k and h respectively. You can use minus k and minus h, doesn't really matter. So you have gotten your center. So this is 3 over 8 squared plus 1 squared, right? Minus, what was our c? Our c was minus 1 over 4, right? So r is equals to square root of 3 squared is 9, 8 squared is 64, plus 1 squared is 1. Then minus times minus will give us plus 1 over 4. So in this case, our r is going to be square root of, you know that this is the same thing as, this 1 that we have here can be the same thing as 1 over 1, right? And then plus 1 over 4. The reason I'm doing it like that, so that it will be easy for me to find the LCM. So the LCM in this case is still 64. So 64 divided by itself, then multiply by 9 is 9, plus 64 plus 64 divided by 4 is 16. 16 times 1 is 16. So in that case, I have my radius to be square root of, when you add all what you have up here, you should get 89 over 64. Now you know that according to the law of indices, we can decide to split both the numerator and denominator. So we can have square root of 89 over square root of 64. And you know we can't take the square root of 89, so it will still remain square root of 89. And the square root of 64 is 8. And that is our answer. We have gotten our radius. So our radius is square root of 89 divided by 8. So in combination, we now have our center to be 3 over 8 and 1, and the radius to be square root of 89 over 8. So let's know the option that is the right option. So the right option is option C. So we're going to continue the episode 2 of this video. Please, if you haven't subscribed, like I said earlier, subscribe to get more videos like this. So see you in my next video.